Into the light of things. Let nature be your teacher. I think we in Britain, perhaps more than any other culture, are fixated by the idea of living amidst nature. And although only around a fifth of us do live in the countryside, nevertheless, we are bucking the global trend in the UK, and more of us are leaving the city. So why is that? It's not just because we are drawn to the idea of the rural idyll. It's because I think something else is happening. There is a quiet revolution. Architecturally, as well as socially, the countryside's becoming an exciting place to live. The UK provides a great variety of places for us to live. There are our sprawling suburbs, the remote wilderness, our crammed cities, and the cherished fields and meadows of our countryside. I want to explore how each of these environments influence the homes we live in.
I kind of like the idea of just living in a much more sustainable way.
And how, in turn, our architecture characterises those places.
Doesn't everybody want to kind of get up in the morning and look out the window and see the sea and hear that sound and smell that smell? It's beautiful.
For the last 15 years, I've witnessed how Grand Design's builders have risen to the challenges of building a home that responds to the very landscape around it.
You can't tell what is reflection and what is transparency. It looks like the building's evaporating almost.
I've seen their drive and creativity produce buildings of great and powerful originality.
This is where worlds collide, and it's beautiful.
This programme is all about building in the open countryside. Blimey, not even the phrase sounds right, does it? Because the countryside is the last battleground in the UK between communities and developers. The place that we take unto our hearts, where every field we imagine to belong personally to us. So how is it possible to build here? To put architecture in the countryside and enhance it, make it better? Anyone who's ever commissioned a building knows that a well-designed, responsive, proper piece of original architecture can make a contribution to the world. Whether it's in the language of traditional oak-framed buildings. This is radically different, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly is.
Or exploring what the 21st century farmhouse should look like. And it's completely transformed, isn't it? Sort of Darth Vader's rural retreat. Or in bringing a building back from the dead. Suddenly, it looks like a proper castle.
Makes you want to put on a suit of armour.
The self-builders of this world are the champions of brave contextual design. There's a strange optical illusion up here of being on a piece of floating meadow. The building has disappeared completely.
It's fantastic.
And are showing us new ways to forge relationships between us, buildings and landscape.
What do you think?
What do I think? I think I'd pay a great deal of money for this view. I'm very envious of what you've got.
I think we have quite a deep-seated relationship with the countryside. It's something to do with nature. It feels like you're in touch with something bigger, more majestic than the human. You're in touch with the movements of the earth and the atmosphere and the sunlight, and there's something thrilling about that.
So, how do we go on building homes in this thrilling landscape without ruining it? One way is to take inspiration from buildings that traditionally forged a very strong bond with the land. Agricultural buildings are at home in the countryside, and the most significant is the farmhouse. The phrase live-work is a popular one amongst architects these days, but it's been around in farming for thousands of years. After all, farmhouses traditionally were a messy arrangement of buildings, people and animals clumped all together. Now, there is a small breed of farmers who are also self-builders, experimenting with what the 21st century farmhouse should be.
A traditional farmhouse probably has a number of small rooms with small windows. Everything would happen in one room. You're cooking over the open fire, and that's providing the heat for the house. Maybe some animals living in the house with you. That might not suit the way we want to live in it now.
Small windows and rooms were not what farmer Andrew Ainsley and his wife Merrill wanted. They were already living in a traditional farmhouse, but on the very edge of their land, and they wanted to build a modern farmhouse right in the middle that would give them proper connection.
This is land that my father bought in 1968. To actually build a house on the land means an awful lot to me.
They wanted two things their old farmhouse could never give them. Large open spaces, achievable with a big glulam timber frame.
A bit like Big Meccano, isn't it? Big boys' toys.
And light, possible thanks to a long glazed wall. The new farmhouse was a far cry from the dark, cramped, traditional version they were used to.
Now that's interesting. You come in here, it's beautiful. But actually what you want to look at straight away is that, isn't it? It's the view out.
Yeah.
For me, I very much feel part of the farm now, whereas before I always felt removed.
But modern design and traditional farmhouse function came to a high-octane, heady mix when Soho socialites Phil Palmer and Michael Butcher bought 40 acres of lush Berkshire farmland.
Look at this stampede!
To replace the incongruous existing wooden chalet, these brand new farmers wanted a slice of hard-edged glamour in their new dual-purpose farmhouse.
We wanted to have a bit of a separation. When we're doing farming stuff, we do farming stuff. When we don't have to do that, actually we can go back to our lovely, luxurious lives.
To build an ultra-modern working farmhouse that didn't seem willful or conspicuous took real ingenuity. A ground floor sunk into the hillside. A distorted wall of vernacular flint cladding built by a local craftsman.
Well, this is 2 months' work.
Yeah.
But used on an epic scale. Instead of a pitched farmhouse roof, a black rubber stealth version that folded its way down the hill.
If we'd used a traditional pitched roof, that building would have been another 4 or 5 metres taller. By using the techniques of a flat roof and a roof that dropped away, we were able to minimise the impact. You can use these techniques to make sure that a building sits and nestles.
To keep farm life separate from the urban chic leisure space meant the 2 floors had different distinct functions. Downstairs was the farming floor, with a boot room come mud barrier.
Drain on the floor, wash your hands, coat, boots.
Absolutely. And then you go through.
And beyond, a farm management office. Whereas upstairs, accessed through its own separate entrance, was anything but the typical agricultural dwelling. The living room was a sleek, sloping black and white open-plan hangar, large enough to install a modernist white combine harvester, which you could drive in through the rhomboid sliding windows.
You get this view down, won't you? This amazing view.
That's it.
This window was large enough to suggest a completely unbroken contact with the landscape.
In summer, I guess you'll just have that window open all the time.
Yeah.
2 years on, I've come back to see how well Phil and Michael's futuristic farmhouse has been working for them.
Now, this is a building which really throws down a lot of gauntlets. It is stridently contemporary in a rural setting. It redefines the vernacular. It's a very unusual agricultural building, and it even challenges the way you can live when you work the land.
So just how well worked out has that division been between farm work and leisure space?
Now, I'd like to know whether this boot room of yours really works properly, because it seems to me it's a small space, but in a way it's almost the most critical space in a farm, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Junction between inside and out. Does that work?
Yeah, it really does work as a coming from outside to inside, a sort of separator, which is great. If anything, what we need is another one of these up the top by the kitchen, so that you can go out of the kitchen and straight into the garden.
Upstairs, as they'd hoped, remains clean and pristine.
Is this the way forward in farming, this kind of building?
Yes, it's a farm, but it doesn't mean you have to have a traditional farmhouse.
I think what it does say is that you don't have to farm in a certain way, and you don't have to live in a certain way if you're a farmer.
Yeah.
The well-being factor, the sense of connection with the land, sense of connection with the environment, I think are things which we've got with here, and you just feel that much happier.
This building rewrites what a farmhouse can be and what contemporary rural architecture can be. But it's only one example of how the self-builders I've met over the last 15 years have combined vernacular ideas with original architecture to not just preserve a notion of a rural idyll, but reinvent it.
Wow. It's one of the nicest homes I've ever been in.
The draw of the countryside remains a powerful one, but it's vital we build homes here that don't destroy the very landscape that entrances us. To achieve that, one of the most important factors is what we actually build with.
Wherever you go in Britain, you'll find something local and special about the buildings in that area, according, of course, to the availability of materials, whether it's clay for brick and tile, or cob for building, as in Devon, straw for thatching. There is, however, one material which is universally available here, in every copse and every hedgerow, and it is timber.
Timber has been used for all practical purposes for as long as there have been buildings. It's sort of grown from the place itself. And there's something culturally satisfying, but also very viscerally satisfying about it. It feels good and right and proper.
Timber locks in carbon. It is strong, adaptable and durable, and it is tactile and full of character. It's so often the choice of the self-builder.
That's it.
And in the hands of designers, craftsmen and architects, wood is being used for more than reproduction timber-framed cottages. Rupert and Julie Upton showed just how far the idea of a medieval oak-framed house could be pushed.
You're building in oak.
I like the idea of it.
This is a very modern building.
Set high on a hilltop in the Lambourne Valley, their home was designed by Rod James, the eminent timber frame architect, to be constructed from 750 pieces of oak, hand-cut and slotted together.
Just amazing. You think you'd build a whole village with this amount of wood?
Instead of traditional wattle and daub infill between the timbers, 190 double glazing units were installed in between the upright posts. Then the edges of the double glazing were cleverly concealed with more timber.
This goes on here, and it's the same width as the oak post, and then it's screwed through.
Very clever. It suddenly looks like the oak
frame.
Oak frame
Yeah.
that's been channeled, that's been cut into to take the glass.
This project reinvented the traditional rural half-timbered house and told us that oak has a valuable place in construction. The building's open geometry demonstrated the magnificence of oak carpentry and gave a very modern open-plan layout, plenty of light and a connection to the outdoors.
Wow. What a sight.
Not a bad source of inspiration.
Absolutely. You see all the way around.
Innovative as it was, the house was an evolution of traditional forms and recognizable shapes. It fitted a local vernacular. But we're now using wood in ways our ancestors would never have dreamed of. Timber can not only be cut, carved and shaped, it can be engineered.
The thing is about timber, when you process that, you don't just improve it, you radically alter its performance. There is a world of difference between an oak-frame timber building and a 21st century building made from engineered timber. Engineering wood breaks free the shackles of history and allows architecture to just run amok.
It was ingeniously engineered wood that allowed Gregory Kewish and Rebecca Sturrock to transform their tiny Cornish cottage on a budget of less than £125,000. Architectural designer Gregory decided to add a second floor, but didn't want an internal oak frame, or any visible structure for that matter. His unusual design involved building all the new walls and the roof in super thick cross-laminated timber panels, made up of layers of spruce glued together.
There are large spans with no joist, anything really to support the structure. This comes together and it's literally very large chunks of wood screwed together.
Gregory's design was pretty radical, even for the German company supplying the engineered timber.
Architecturally, is this very different to the kind of thing that you would normally produce?
I would say it's one of the most exciting ones that we have, definitely.
Building Gregory's innovative Crossland timber house proved pretty exciting too. The giant panels, weighing up to 2 tons each, were hard to handle.
Thank God no one's under that.
Gregory worked day and night in frequently horrendous weather.
Oh, wait.
8 months later, the finished building resembled a small barn. The black agricultural timber cladding nodded respectfully to the local farm buildings. Inside, however, a magical and modern world of wood awaited. The lack of frame or roof trusses delivered an unbroken, unfussy space. Everything was made of tree.
It's just so fresh and smooth and beautiful and rich and full of invention. It's one of the nicest homes I've ever been in, I think.
A bit nice building, sorry.
That's right.
Sorry.
The pair of you. Got me crying in a minute.
Engineered timber is a really beautiful innovation. I think the idea that you're liberated from the constraints of the length of a tree or the constraints of the width of a tree, and yet can still produce extraordinary, structurally strong spans of material is technologically fantastic.
There is no question that our adventurous one-off home builders are architectural pioneers. But you don't always have to build new in the countryside to be a pioneer. For those bold enough to take on the challenge, there are existing rural buildings ripe for conversion. Barns, for example.
Converting any building is never easy, particularly when it's an agricultural structure. Often it's in the middle of the field, so how do you get services to it? How do you get access to it? And when you do get in it, how do you manipulate that space? Usually barns have 1 or 2 big openings. You can't go punching windows into an historic structure. So when we find the really good barn conversions, the ones that demonstrate ingenious architectural solutions, we should sit up and pay attention.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
The barn Robert and Jane Ellis chose to convert certainly needed attention. Lots of it. Bringing light into the building was going to be key in making their 300-year-old hilltop barn livable.
Is it going to be your home?
Yep.
Planning restrictions prevented them from knocking any more holes in the walls. Their architect's solution was to explore what glass could do.
You see here, this is the walkway and this is in glass.
The barn doors were replaced with a system of angled and folding windows, and new first-floor walkways were made of glass to minimize the visual impact of the new internal structures.
That's very, very impressive, actually. I'm very pleased with that.
A perimeter light trough set in the floor also provided ambient uplight, and beneath the eaves, a run of clear windows introduced more daylight.
Wow, now this is lovely, this room. There's a clear story lighting above the top.
It's almost as if the roof doesn't touch the actual building at all. Everything sort of floats.
Magnificent.
Robert and Jane's conversion was sensitive and intelligent, but every barn conversion has to be addressed on its own terms.
They are difficult spaces. They're difficult spaces to get right. You have to respect the building. You always try and keep the sort of structure of the existing building visible. So whenever you're in any part of the building, you're always aware that you're in a barn.
Artists Ben Coode Adams and Freddie Robbins certainly wanted to maintain the integrity of their vast 16th century barn.
We're predominantly going to live in it at ground level, so it's going to be a bit more like living in a cathedral.
Ben, a sculptor, chose to painstakingly save every bit of original wood he could and reuse anything and everything from the building's agricultural past.
There is always that danger, isn't there, in remodelling and in remaking a building, that you destroy the very thing that makes it beautiful and attracts you at the beginning.
That is a big danger.
But having spent months authentically restoring the shell, the scale of the building was still tormenting them.
I am always, when I'm in it, thinking about where stuff is going to go.
And also quite a lot of quite small things which don't necessarily, will just get lost in the massiveness of the space.
Only when they'd moved in did their solution reveal itself as a success. Recycled glass display cabinets used as room dividers.
These are what, shop fittings, are they?
Yeah, they're from old shops.
They effectively make screens, don't they?
They do,
yeah, so you can push them around.
This is not as I would have imagined it. This is very cosy.
Another masterstroke, devised with their architect Anthony Hudson, was to recycle 2 giant original concrete grain silos into rooms.
And then you have this form of Juliet balcony.
Yes.
Which is brilliant.
It was a maverick, genius-sensitive conversion that brought this beautiful old building back to life.
A lot of the barn buildings fall into disrepair and eventually fall down. So it's really important that people do take these buildings on and convert them.
But redundant old barns aren't the only buildings in the countryside ripe for reinvention.
Our countryside is littered with the remnants of human activity. Old mills, lime kilns, derelict utility buildings, water towers, even castles. So why go to all the trouble of planning hassle? Why not instead try and redevelop and restore one of these crumbling hulks? I'll tell you why. You'd go insane. There's a common view that the countryside is an amenity full of charming old ruined buildings to enjoy, which is rubbish, of course. It isn't a big amenity. And these old places will fall down unless they're looked after. They need curating. So I absolutely salute anybody who's prepared to take on an old place and repair or restore it. It is, after all, the first step in regenerating not just a building, but an area. It can make an enormous contribution to landscape and to community. It is, after all, a statement of faith in a place.
Over the last 15 years, I've seen many rural self-builders willing to make that statement of faith, regardless of the time, money and enormous effort required.
There's something very enticing, isn't there, about an old building, however uncomfortable and inconvenient it is. I think it's being part of a story. It's being part of somebody else's narrative and part of this continuity.
Leanne Smith and Chris Jones were certainly enticed, even beguiled by the prospect of living in their 30-metre-long 1930s water treatment works.
One huge space.
Yes, yes.
My God. You could get an entire house into this space, couldn't you?
That's right, yeah.
Doesn't daunt you?
Yes.
They wisely chose to keep the generous space it offered and just restore the shell. But even a simple job like removing old plaster from the walls took 9 weeks.
Some of it comes off easy, then you hit a patch that's rock hard. You can spend 2 hours doing just a little bit, so...
A year later, though, they'd made a powerful, atmospheric, open-plan home that brilliantly maintained the industrial heritage of the original building.
It's transformed. It now looks like a really big, exciting space to play in.
We're absolutely thrilled with it, absolutely thrilled.
I think a lot of people take on old buildings and restore them because it gives them fantastic spaces. For example, a water tower or a lighthouse or a windmill. I mean, a lot of these buildings have got fantastically high ceilings and huge windows. Those things are sort of lacking in modern houses.
But if you want somewhere for the imagination to really fly, a fantastic space rich with history, then buy a crumbling castle, as valiant architect Francis Shaw and his wife Karen did.
Given another 10, 20 years' time, it's not going to be here. This is its last chance.
This was a 700-year-old scheduled ancient monument that was determined to fall over, literally.
Go in!
The project was a new exemplar for English heritage. Every new beam and repaired window represented a different planning battle or evolution in conservation thinking, and the costs spiraled.
We could really get ourselves into trouble if I don't always know exactly how much is in the bank account, and I have to remind Francis.
Francis was a man obsessed, possessed even. He just wouldn't stop.
I feel totally knackered, if I'm honest. It's just knocked 7 shades of hell out of me, basically.
In the end, it took 3 years and £750,000 to finish the building. But what a monument to human energy, empathy, and bloody-minded determination it was.
This is looking absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
With all the battlements running around the building, suddenly it looks like a proper castle. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, there are a number of key things you need for a building to be a castle. It needs to be big enough, you haven't got a drawbridge, but you have got battlements.
It makes you want to put on a suit of armour.
And those battlements revealed a view from a new vantage point.
I never really wanted to be in your shoes at any point during this build, but coming out here, suddenly I'm very envious of what you've got.
Visual connection to a place, a view out, seems to be an essential part of architecture in the countryside.
In the city, you don't really expect to have views, whereas in the countryside, everything you look at, if it's not spoiled, tends to be a view. So I think designing modern houses in the countryside inevitably is going to be done with a search for the view that goes with the house.
A good building will articulate a view, frame it and condense it, block out the bad bits and direct the gaze. In East Anglia, architectural designer Wilf Mennel did just that, designing 2 cleverly offset terraces, deep viewing boxes for his client Natasha, that gave 2 different views of the surrounding woodland.
This is what I've always wanted. You could walk out and just have the view.
Yeah, you mean just connect out into it?
Yeah.
Designer Robert Gaukrodger and his wife Mila completely reinvented their house in order to capture views of Lake Windermere, making the house substantially taller and switching the living areas to the top floor.
Oh, that's more like it. Absolutely beautiful. This is what it's about, isn't it? That uninterrupted view all the way down Lake Windermere.
You sort of look at that view and you sort of think, worth every penny.
But it was Rob Hodgson and Kay Ralph who went to the greatest lengths to find a view. Their award-winning home by architects Stevenson Studio was designed to drink in the spectacular scenery of the North Wales coast, even though the exposed cliff it would sit on was being slowly eaten away by the sea.
Why build so close?
Because the view from the top is just fantastic and it's just beautiful. And we've got no neighbours. Nobody can build in front of us, Kevin.
They've got far more sense than you have.
That's true.
Complete with a super strong steel frame to deal with high winds and acres of reinforced glass in slimline frames. This sleek modernist house proved to be essentially a viewing box, utterly dedicated to its setting. Every room was positioned to frame a different uninterrupted view.
The house is a complete blind-free zone, no blinds anywhere.
They just stop you from getting the vistas and the light.
The raised master bedroom gave them a private view of the natural world and the elements.
Like a giant painting. That is your main attraction, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just have to pause for a minute and just drink that in.
But designing to maximize your view out is one thing. What about everyone else's view back at your house, sitting there defiantly in its rural setting?
The thing is, if you want to hack off the largest number of people in the UK, the thing you should do is build in open countryside like this. Because it is here that the opposition to change is at its most fearsome. It is here that national bodies fight to protect views and beautiful countryside like this. But there is a way, there is a path to tread between the objectives of great architecture, avoiding blots on the landscape, and integrating and rooting your building where it is. And that is to blend the building, to camouflage it.
Getting a contemporary building to fit is hard, and it's an important consideration in rural areas.
I think it is so important that wherever the design of the house is going to be, that it responds properly to the landscape and what we call in context. So if you've got large rolling hills, you don't plant your house right on the top so it sticks out. You have it further down, but it just fits in that it just looks natural in its landscape.
Self-built Leviathan Kevin McCabe was so determined that his enormous 900 square metre cob house should sit within the surrounding hills, he chose to top it off with his own imitation hill.
Bring it round.
The 22-metre span of the main roof was made from engineered timber beams, shaped to suggest the gentle undulation of the surrounding horizon.
See the subtle curve in the field beyond? It's just harmonised with the environment.
After 3 years, this giant hand-built castle of cob in open countryside may still have been incomplete, but it already had an expansive wildflower meadow roof.
I do like the way that swoops.
Look at that roof. Starship Enterprise.
There's a strange optical illusion up here, which is of being on a piece of floating meadow. The building has disappeared completely.
But it was farmer and architect Patrick Bradley in Northern Ireland who set himself the toughest challenge to blend his highly unconventional new farmhouse into the most beautiful spot on the family farm.
Whatever you do has to enhance this, it has to somehow make better sense of this little corner, does it not?
Shipping containers.
Shipping containers aren't famous for melding into the landscape, though, are they?
That is one of the experimental that I'm going to have to work with. But
yes, Patrick was building with ugly white steel shipping containers.
They're not very pretty, are they? Just as is, but not pretty.
His design may have been inspired by architect Frank Lloyd Wright's iconic Falling Water house in America, but with a budget of just £133,000, the whole project seemed like a surefire recipe for aesthetic disaster.
Oh my goodness. What a shocker.
Patrick, however, had an ingenious trick up his sleeve for the cladding, involving yet more steel.
And this'll rust more, won't it? Wow. That is your colour of your rock, isn't it? And that sort of stormy colour is the colour of the clouds here.
Which is quite common.
Yeah.
Using the colours of shadow and of rock, Patrick's home was transformed from prefab to a building that seemed utterly bespoke and supremely contextual.
Paddy, this is just, oh, wow, this is just brilliant. This is mind-blowing.
Thanks,
you know,
Gavin. Thank
this
you.
is so good. It's rare to come to a place and find a building that actually lifts the spirits.
I think it actually does what I wanted to. I was a sculpture in the middle of the landscape.
Oh, it's powerful.
I think I've got it.
And Patrick's cutting-edge new farmhouse also allows him to live comfortably where he works, whether as farmer or architect. The increasing ability to run a business from home is a major factor in bringing in newcomers and thus reinvigorating local rural communities. And you no longer have to be a farmer either.
The great thing about having a brewery is that people do want to be your friends.
They're very kind, invite us to their parties and get us drunk regularly.
You know, there's a natural suspicion in the countryside of townies. People who move into places like this and really make their presence felt. But when people move out of cities to places like this, they bring fresh energy, they bring enthusiasm, and with that resource find that they're able to redefine their lives and redefine the use of that land, whether it's looking after geese, chickens, or even tortoises.
Urbanites turned farmers Phil Palmer and Michael Butcher have certainly brought energy and new ideas to their corner of Berkshire.
Good bucket, good boy.
Keenly aware of the need to integrate into and support the local community, they also set up a microbrewery in a barn next to their 21st century farmhouse.
We are a local business. We trade very much on the fact that it's local water, local hops, you know, it's made on a farm in the community.
They're very kind, invite us to their parties and get us drunk regularly.
2 years on, their inventive, diversified use of the farmland continues to be a positive for the wider rural community.
Just doing it in a way which we enjoy, which employs local people, creates money for all of us, but doesn't, you know, ruin what is a beautiful setting.
But do you feel integrated?
Yeah.
Do you feel part of this place now?
We have a lot of local support, which is brilliant.
People are very positive on the whole, aren't they?
You know, the great thing about having a brewery is that people do want to be your friends. So
moving to our countryside is one thing, but moving abroad and trying to connect with a new rural community is something else entirely. At an age when most people are putting their feet up, Denise Daniel and Doug Ibbs took on the biggest challenge of their lives in a small French village.
It's completely tumbled down. A real wreck, isn't it?
Yeah, but we like it. It's home.
It's vast. I mean, you are going to get lost in the building.
We're not overawed by the size of the place
No.
because we've got mobile phones, so we'll always find each other. Let's go.
It took them nearly 10 years of extraordinary effort to complete, but in the end their choice of house to rebuild would prove a masterstroke. They had given the village back its beautiful centrepiece.
Pour vous, c'est un peu nostalgique?
C'est impeccable pour moi. Ça remet de la valeur dans le coin.
And the community loved them for it.
Les gens sont très satisfaits de ce qui est passé. Je pense que pour eux, c'était une ruine qui resterait ruine, mais ils sont très très contents que ça soit reconstruit. Ah oui, c'est vraiment une très belle chose. Moi aussi d'ailleurs.
Renovating an old landmark is one way to invigorate a rural community. Another is to build a new home so dynamic and powerful it becomes a new landmark.
And you, hi, Sophie.
Yes.
One such building was built by Richard Hawkes and his wife Sophie. They were constructing a super eco house with a dramatic parabolic grass-covered arch.
I mean, we're wanting to use local and healthy materials.
So very sustainable construction?
Yes.
25,000 locally made Kent peg tiles were used to build the arch. To super-insulate the rest of the building, sheep's wool and recycled newspaper were packed into the walls. It was so airtight and insulated, it would qualify as one of
Passive house design is one of the latest and most creative and most sustainable ways of building either the one-off house or a terrace of houses, because we're controlling the air in and the air out, which in turn is the heating of a building.
Solar hot water and electricity contributed to a building so efficient it promised to actually make them money.
We're getting paid for the electricity we're producing, and we're getting paid for the heat we're producing.
How much do you reckon a year?
£1,800 a year is what we're currently told the house is going to generate as an income, net.
It's going to you're going to get a cheque for £1,800 a year.
Yeah. From the government.
Instead of paying bills,
yes.
Electricity and heating bills.
Yes.
5 years from completion, I've come back to see what impact their experimental house has had on Richard and Sophie's lives and on their local community.
The house is still kind of quite powerful in the landscape. I mean, just arriving down the road there, you know, bang, there it was, immediately recognisable. So what do people make of it?
But you do get some people go, oh, that's lovely, that's amazing, I love that house.
Yeah.
It's grown in people's affection, I think, over time.
Build a building out of the things that are from a local area, you'll inherently instill it with a sense of place.
And it doesn't necessarily have to look like that.
No.
Over there, or the Oast House on the horizon. It can look like this.
Yeah.
That's how houses were built at that time, using that technology.
But this house isn't just a landmark on the outside. The insulation and sustainable technology they've pioneered meant last year Richard and Sophie received £2,000 from renewable energy, turning what would be an outgoing into an income.
How do we, given the fact that the market is going to be chucking up hundreds of thousands of houses across the country, how do we take all that learning and all those values and transfer it to the mass market?
One of the things that we understand now is that energy costs a lot of money, and 50 years ago we didn't understand that.
So we're
still building houses in the same mindset as we did 50 years ago. Anyone that comes here and I say to them, there's no underfloor heating and no radiators, and as you're experiencing today, it's really cold day, but it's lovely and warm. It can be done. I think to start with, it's just shaking people out of all the baggage of just thinking it can't be done.
Richard and Sophie, along with the other experimental self-builders I've met, are proving that country life can be cutting edge. The danger is that this new way of rural living only benefits the pioneers themselves.
What about the rest of us? How do we build for the larger community in Britain? How do we, in places like this, put up affordable, beautiful, exciting, sustainable architecture that is equally connected to where it is and makes a contribution to place?
There's exciting opportunities in rural communities to design beautiful things. Good design isn't just to look at, it can make a very profound impact on a community or a space. We should build good social housing in the countryside like we build all housing.
Well, there are now glimmers of hope that the innovative, forward-thinking ideas espoused by our self-builders could become more widely available.
How many houses here are there? How many homes?
26 homes,
26?
Of which 22 are family houses.
This is Clayfields in Suffolk, a village development whose goal is to provide affordable, energy-efficient, sustainable social housing.
When you consider a scheme, how do you make it, as it were, aesthetically, architecturally, socially work?
We work very hard at a way of organising the site so that there was significant public space being enjoyed by people. So this is a really good example.
Right, so
you've got kitchen sinks literally overlooking small children's playing areas, that kind of thing. And there's a biomass boiler towards that end of the site which heats the whole project with chippings from the Thetford forest.
There are plenty of vernacular materials, cedar cladding, garden walls from lime-washed cob and hempcrete wall construction. The profile of the roof and the arrangement of windows were also considered.
The shape of the roof isn't born of whimsy. The 15-degree angle on the roof that you see over there is actually all about avoiding overshadowing in winter of the neighbours to the north. And so the big windows to the south are also about the building acting as a little solar collector for people, keeping their fuel bills down in winter.
Single mum Carla Simpson moved to a 3-bedroom home at Clayfields with her 2 children from a drafty old 1930s house. Her new home provides much more height, light and space throughout.
This is my daughter Alex's bedroom.
Oh yeah. Tall ceiling, which gives them that great sense of space and height and light.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Big windows too. And this is even bigger, this one. Interesting. I do like the fact that it's, you're not overlooked and you don't really overlook.
Despite the large windows, the clever staggered arrangement of the buildings gives increased privacy.
So this vent here, how does this open?
The house is also designed to quickly purge hot summer air from all 3 floors.
It's lovely and warm. When it needs to be warm, it's cool. When it needs to be cool.
And no drafts?
No drafts, no.
Great. And what about energy bills?
The heating has halved, actually.
Really?
It's gone from about £60 a month to £30 a month.
Wow, that's really, really good.
Developments like Clayfields show it is possible for everyone to live in sustainable, affordable, interesting new homes in our countryside. After centuries of building design stifled by an obsession with the traditional, I think, driven by the creativity of all the self-builders I've met over the last 15 years, that finally there's been a sea change in how we want to live in the countryside. There's a new determination to look forward, to modernise, to respect and enrich the past, but not be enthralled to it.
And the result is an architecture that takes the best of local distinctiveness and vernacular design and mixes them with contemporary thinking and modern technology. Architecture which absolutely speaks of its time and its place. At last, we can live in the here and now.
The Dream Team are back next Thursday doing two sides of Cambridgeshire. New location, Phil and Kirsty at 8. But coming up, high stakes and a power struggle behind the Queen's marriage. Prince Philip, the plot to make a king.